Let's take a look at some of the effects of air pollution. All right, so even at low levels, air pollution can cause some undesirable things to happen. Eyes can be irritated, respiratory tract can be inflamed, and at longer term exposures, we can end up getting chronic respiratory diseases and all sorts of other problems. Okay, so when we look at various different types of pollutants, particulate matter, we can get respiratory illnesses, long-term exposure, increased incidence of chronic conditions, all sorts of things can make you very unhappy with exposure to air pollution. Those nitrogen oxides also irritate your respiratory tract and aggravate other conditions. Sulfur oxide, same thing. We get irritation. Carbon monoxide, this one, instead of irritating respiratory tract like almost all the rest of them do, this one screws with your body's ability to transport oxygen in your blood. And so a little bit different effect. A lot of times you don't feel carbon monoxide poisoning until you're getting severe effects from it. And then ozone, same thing, can irritate and aggravate other respiratory conditions. Okay, so here's just an example of some pollution issues. So Linfen, China, has been considered the most polluted city on Earth before. It's in the middle of China's coal belt, and so there's millions of people there. And because it's in the coal belt, there's lots and lots of pollution that goes into the air from burning all of that coal. And so lots of emissions, and you can see here's a picture from Linfen, China, that not very good air quality there. And then here we've got some other pollution. So this happened because of a nuclear reactor meltdown. Now, nuclear reactors, especially now, there's so many checks and balances to make sure that they are safe. And so this happened in 1986. Let's see here, April of 1986. I was 4 when this one happened. Dating myself a bit. And nuclear reactors are even more well regulated now than they were then. But basically what happened here was this when it was in Chernobyl, Ukraine. And so when this reactor melted down, there's tons of radioactive material that was spewed. And so not only did it affect the actual city of Chernobyl, but there's a radioactive cloud that spread throughout a lot of Europe, causing a lot of problems. And so when we look at pollution, we can identify like where there's a lot of pollution and where there's not as much pollution. So these are just the United States. So some of our worst cities, LA. LA makes the list. LA's had a lot of pollution problems, and part of it is the dense population and all of the emissions, especially from automobiles, but also LA is located in a basin. So you've got mountains bordering LA. And so what you end up having is you end up having this area where it traps everything. And so that contributes very strongly to LA's pollution issues. If you notice, all the worst cities have been in California. So living in California, if you've ever wondered why we have such strict emissions regulations and why we have to smog our cars so frequently, it's because California, because we're such a large, densely populated state in our cities, we've had a battle with pollution over the years. And so in an effort to try to cut down on that, we've had to do a lot of regulating and trying to make sure that we can lessen the effects of all of this pollution.